Let's talk about something most men, especially over 60, never bring up, not even with their doctor. It's a private part of your life. But what if I told you that how you approach self-pleasure could either be one of the healthiest things you do for your prostate and circulation, or it could be causing long-term damage without you even realizing it? As a urologist, I've had countless patients privately ask me, "Doc, am I doing this right?" The truth is, your body changes after 60, and your technique needs to change right along with it. So, we're going to break the silence. We'll cover how to masturbate safely and enjoyably after 60, and I'll reveal the 5 biggest mistakes you absolutely need to avoid. Welcome. I'm a urologist, and I've spent more than 30 years focusing on men's health. I've sat across from thousands of men in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. And I've seen the same quiet concerns and unspoken questions over and over. A lot of guys just assume that this part of their life is supposed to fade away, or that it's a topic best left to the younger guys. That couldn't be more wrong. We need to have this conversation because the body you have at 60 or 70 isn't the same machine it was at 30. Your circulation is different. Your tissues are more fragile. Your prostate has its own unique history. Sticking with the same habits you've had for decades is like driving a classic car the same way you drive a new one right off the lot. You can do it, but you're risking damage to something precious. This isn't about shame, it's about health. It's about understanding how to work with your body, not against it, and making sure that a natural, healthy act stays a source of pleasure, not a hidden source of stress or physical harm. So, let's get into the 5 biggest mistakes I see men over 60 making, and how you can switch to a safer, healthier, and frankly, more satisfying approach starting today. Mistake number 1, the death grip and ignoring your body's new limits. The first, and probably the most common mistake, is what's been called the death grip. This is that super tight grip with fast, aggressive motions you probably developed when you were younger. Back then, your body was resilient and could bounce back from anything. But after 60, that same approach can cause real cumulative damage. Here's why. As you age, the tissues in the penis get thinner and less elastic, and the blood vessels are more delicate. That high-friction, aggressive style can cause micro tears in this fragile tissue. You might not see or feel them at the moment, but over time they create low-grade, chronic inflammation. That inflammation can end up restricting blood flow, which is the very foundation of your erectile health. Think of it like constantly sanding a delicate surface. Eventually, it gets worn down and loses its sensitivity. On top of that, this forceful technique puts a ton of strain on your pelvic floor muscles, the same muscles that control both ejaculation and urination. When you constantly clench them, they can get tight and overworked, leading to things like groin pain, trouble emptying your bladder, or even incontinence. It's a hidden strain that a lot of men just chalk up to getting older, but it's often a direct result of their technique. But the most sneaky part is nerve desensitization. A death grip basically teaches your brain that it needs an extreme amount of force to get aroused and climax. After a while, gentler sensations, the kind you'd experience with a partner, can start to feel dull. You accidentally train your body to need more and more force, creating a vicious cycle of damage and desensitization. The solution: be a connoisseur, not a competitor. The fix is simple but profound. Slow down and be gentle. It's time to redefine pleasure by its quality, not its intensity. First, and this is non-negotiable, always use lubrication. A good water-based lube reduces friction, protects your skin from those micro tears, and instantly boosts sensation without needing more force. Second, loosen your grip. Seriously, see what it feels like to use just your fingertips or a much lighter touch. Close your eyes and focus on the actual sensations, not just the race to the finish line. When you slow down, you let your nervous system catch up and register more subtle feelings, which can lead to a much more profound full-body orgasm. And finally, listen to your body. If you feel any pain, discomfort, or numbness, that's your signal to stop. That's your body telling you you're pushing too hard. True mastery at this age isn't about power, it's about awareness. Being gentle with yourself doesn't make you less of a man, it makes you a wiser one. Mistake number 2, the prostate paradox. getting prostate health wrong. The second big mistake comes from a huge misunderstanding about the prostate. Men hear all sorts of conflicting information, and it leads to what I call the prostate paradox. On one hand, you've probably heard that frequent ejaculation is good for your prostate. The research largely backs this up. Major studies, including a landmark one from Harvard, show a strong link between ejaculating more often and having a lower risk of prostate cancer. One study found that men who ejaculated 21 or more times a month had around a 20% lower risk of prostate cancer compared to guys who only did so 4 to 7 times a month. The theory is called the prostate stagnation hypothesis. The idea is that ejaculating helps flush out the prostate, clearing away old cells or potentially irritating substances. It's like cleaning out the pipes to prevent buildup. This makes a lot of men think that more is always better. But here's the other side of the paradox. While the frequency can be healthy, the technique can be harmful, especially if you already have an enlarged prostate, or BPH, which is incredibly common in men over 60. If you're using an aggressive, high-pressure technique, you can actually irritate an already enlarged or sensitive prostate. This mechanical stress can make BPH symptoms worse, like having to pee all the time, a weak stream, or feeling like you can't fully empty your bladder. I've had patients who accidentally trigger prostatitis, which is a painful inflammation, just by being too rough. They thought they were doing something healthy, but they were actually making things worse. The solution: aim for gentle consistency, not aggressive frequency. The key is to separate the benefit of ejaculation from the method used to get there. You want the healthy flush without causing inflammation. First, be mindful of your prostate. If you know you have BPH or you've had pelvic discomfort, a gentle approach is everything. Avoid putting direct, hard pressure on the perineum, that spot between the scrotum and anus. Second, focus on a relaxed rhythm. The health benefit comes from the ejaculation itself, not the force you use to achieve it. Your muscles will contract naturally during orgasm. You don't need to force it. Finally, consistency is more important than hitting some magic number. Don't stress about getting to 21 times a month if that doesn't feel right. The research just points to a trend. What's important is that regular, moderate ejaculation is also linked to reduced risk. Finding a gentle, consistent rhythm that works for you is the smartest way to support your prostate health. It's about maintaining flow, not forcing a flood. Mistake number 3, risky timing, ignoring your cardiovascular health. The third mistake is about timing, and it's one that can have serious consequences: ignoring your cardiovascular health. After 60, your circulatory system is less forgiving. Blood pressure can swing more dramatically, and an activity that used to be harmless could pose a risk under the wrong circumstances. Many older men are on medication for high blood pressure. If you masturbate right after taking your pill, the combined effect could potentially cause your blood pressure to dip too low. This can lead to dizziness, lightheadedness, or even fainting, which brings the risk of getting hurt from a fall. The same kind of caution applies right after a hot shower or bath. The hot water makes your blood vessels dilate to cool you down, and sexual arousal directs blood flow to the genitals. Doing both at once can create a recipe for a sudden blood pressure drop, again increasing that risk of feeling faint. Another tricky time can be first thing in the morning. Morning wood might seem like a convenient opportunity, but for many people, blood pressure naturally surges in the morning. Adding physical exertion to that surge can put unnecessary strain on the heart, especially if you have a known or even an unknown heart condition. And finally, don't forget dehydration. When you're dehydrated, your blood volume is lower, which makes you more prone to those dizzying blood pressure drops. The solution: be strategic and respect your body's daily rhythms. This isn't meant to scare you. It's about encouraging you to respect your body's new operating manual. First, be smart about your timing. Avoid masturbating immediately after taking blood pressure medication or right after a hot shower. Give your body an hour or so to stabilize. Second, stay hydrated. It's one of the easiest things you can do for your overall cardiovascular health. A glass of water an hour beforehand can help keep your blood volume stable. Third, and this is critical, listen to your body's warning signs. If you ever feel lightheaded, dizzy, have chest discomfort, or feel a fluttering in your chest during sexual activity, you must stop immediately. These are not things to push through. They are clear signals that your body is under too much strain. Talk to your doctor about these symptoms, because sexual activity can sometimes be the thing that uncovers an underlying heart issue. By choosing a safe time and staying hydrated, you keep masturbation a safe and healthy practice, not a potential cardiovascular risk. Mistake number 4, digital desensitization, the overuse of extreme pornography. The fourth mistake isn't just physical, but it has huge physical and emotional fallout, leaning too heavily on extreme high-novelty pornography. Your brain is wired to chase novelty and rewards. Modern pornography acts as a super stimulus, an endless fire hose of scenarios far more intense than reality. When you constantly expose your brain to that, you can actually rewire its reward circuits. The dopamine rush you're chasing becomes harder and harder to get from normal, real-life stimuli. For a man over 60, this creates a few problems. First, it can lead to psychological erectile dysfunction. You might find it easy to get an erection watching porn, but struggle with a partner or just with your own imagination. Your brain has been trained to need that intense visual input. Second, just like the death grip, it leads to desensitization. You start needing more extreme scenarios to get aroused, and the simple, gentle touch from a partner or the richness of your own fantasy life just doesn't cut it anymore. This can cause a lot of frustration and shame and drive a wedge in relationships. Finally, it disconnects you from your own body. Mindful self-pleasure is about focusing on physical sensations. Porn-driven masturbation shifts your focus from your body to a screen. It becomes a detached, observational act, not an embodied experience. Instead of connecting with yourself, you're chasing a digital fantasy, and the orgasm can feel hollow. The solution: reclaim your imagination and resensitize your brain. The goal is to shift your source of arousal from an external screen back to your internal world. First, try a digital detox. Take a break from pornography for a week or even a month. It can be tough at first, but it gives your brain's dopamine receptors a chance to reset and become sensitive to normal stimulation again. Second, actively use your imagination. Your mind is your most powerful sexual organ. Close your eyes and tap into your memories and desires. This re-engages the parts of your brain that create arousal internally, which strengthens those neural pathways. Third, practice mindful masturbation. Make the physical feelings the main event. Pay attention to your breath and how the sensations change with different kinds of touch. The goal is to make it about feeling instead of watching. When you do this, you're not just making self-pleasure more fulfilling, you're retraining your brain to respond to the real world, which is vital for a healthy sex life, with or without a partner. Mistake number 5, the emotional escape, masturbating out of loneliness, not connection. The final mistake is the most subtle and maybe the most important. It's the habit of using masturbation not for pleasure, but as a sedative, an escape from loneliness, boredom, stress, or grief. For many men, life after 60 brings changes that can lead to isolation. The loss of a spouse, retirement, or friends moving away can create a real void. In that context, masturbation can become a compulsive habit used to numb emotional pain or just kill time. It offers a brief, predictable chemical release that temporarily distracts from whatever is really going on. But when you use it that way, the act itself changes. It's not about vitality, it's about emptiness. I've had patients say they feel hollow or drained afterward, not satisfied. That's because the act was totally disconnected from any real intention. It was a transaction to numb a feeling, not create one. This pattern is a problem for 2 big reasons. First, it's an avoidance cycle. By using a physical release to bypass emotional distress, you never actually deal with the root cause of the loneliness or sadness. The temporary fix keeps you from seeking real solutions, like calling family, joining a club, or finding a new hobby. Second, it can be physically and hormonally draining. When masturbation is driven by stress, your body is tense. The orgasm might happen, but your nervous system doesn't get that same deep, restorative benefit. You miss out on the calming wash of oxytocin that comes from a relaxed, intentional experience. Instead, you can be left feeling even more tired and emotionally flat, which just deepens the sense of isolation. The solution: practice intentional self-pleasure as a form of self-care. The fix is to turn the act from an unconscious escape into a conscious act of self-connection. Before you begin, just take a moment and check in with yourself. Ask, why am I doing this right now? Am I genuinely turned on and looking for pleasure? Or am I feeling lonely, bored, or stressed and just want an escape? There's no wrong answer, but being aware is the first step. If you realize you're just looking for an escape, pause. Maybe try another form of self-care first. Could you go for a walk? Put on some music? Call a friend? Try to address the emotional need directly. When you do choose to masturbate, do it with intention. Frame it as a positive act of self-love. Create a comfortable, relaxing space. The goal is to bring a sense of presence and warmth to the experience, so it makes you feel more alive and present in your body, not more disconnected. By approaching it this way, masturbation can remain a healthy, affirming, and genuinely pleasurable part of your life, one that adds to your well-being instead of just covering up pain. If you found this helpful and want more honest, expert advice on men's health, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, like this video, and feel free to share your thoughts or questions in the comments. These conversations are important, and your experience could help another guy who's silently asking the same questions. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought. For too long, sexuality in aging has been treated like a joke or something to be ashamed of. The truth is, your sexual health is a vital sign. It's a reflection of your overall health, your cardiovascular fitness, your hormones, and your emotional well-being. There's absolutely nothing to be ashamed of. The desire for pleasure and connection doesn't just expire. What you've learned today isn't about restriction, it's about wisdom. It's about making conscious choices that honor the body you have now. By avoiding these 5 common mistakes, you aren't giving something up. You're gaining control, confidence, and dignity. You have the power to make this part of your life safe, healthy, and deeply satisfying. You deserve that clarity and dignity, not just in the doctor's office, but in the most private parts of your life. Thanks for taking the time to invest in your health.